Why, hello, all you Dishin Days fans. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days, where we're serving up a full dish of this week's episodes of Peacock's exclusive #1 award-winning hit soap opera, Days of Our Lives. I'm your host, Tony Moore, and I am joined by my gaggle of gals. We have...
Michael Mattis, how are you?
I always feel like that question after all these years still
I
stump
know.
y'all. It's like y'all go, who's this gaggle of gals he keeps
I
talking about?
really do.
I'm like, who's going first? Ladies
I always
first?
wait. I assume it's always Michael, so I wait.
I mean, if it's ladies first, then you properly started, Michael.
LOL.
LMAO. And of course, we have... That would be you, Araceli.
Me? All right. Okay. Well, we usually do Justin first. Hi,
Oh, that's
everybody.
right.
I'm
Oh, well, then
Araceli.
I messed it up.
Remember we agreed clockwise.
Clockwise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start again. My gaggle of gals, we have...
Michael Mattis, how are you?
Hey
And
guys. Hey guys, Justin Hareld.
And I'm Araceli.
can't believe that took so much time, and we've been doing this for how long? I love you guys. You guys are great. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you are watching us live, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the subscribe button and the bell notification so that way you will never miss a live broadcast. And while you're at it, go over and follow us on all social media platforms. We are Dishin Days Show, Dishin Days on Instagram and no longer underscore Dishin Days on the Twitter. We are just Dishin Days on the Twitter. The is currently enjoying ice cream in Horton Town Square. And of course, you guys can follow us on all of your favorite podcast stations. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Just type in Dishin Days and take us along on that long road trip, or while you're walking on the treadmill, or simply enjoying a wonderful afternoon in the park. We'll be there to give you a full dish of this week's episodes of Days of Our Lives. And of course, if you want your full soap opera fix, head on over to JLJ Media to get the lowdown on General Hospital, Bold and the Beautiful, and Young and the Restless, brought to you by my chocolate twin, Mr. James Lott Jr. There we go. Now, to kick off our show, we actually have a very special guest joining us today. You guys remember him as Nathan Horton, but lately he has been playing the one and only Mr. Johnny Depp on the brand new Tubi movie, Hot Take, The Depp Heard Trial. Please help us welcome Mr. Mark Hapka.
Mr. Mark Hapka.
There we
Hey,
go.
Mark.
There we go.
Hi, guys. You gotta love technology. It's like we were all anxiously waiting, like...
Any second now.
Any second. How have you been, Mark? It's been a while. I know it was like a few years ago we got you into our AfterBuzz TV studio and caught up with you, but we were excited to see, you back and playing the ever so popular... Yeah, I know, right? Everything was like... And then all of a sudden the world shut down, and now here we are. We're doing everything from our home.
Doing our best.
Yeah. How's everything been with you? Like, what's new? What's happening? Catch us up just a tish.
Life's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Good. I've been just trying to stay creative, stay safe, keep having fun, just living my best life.
Well, listen, we're all doing that one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So let's chit chat about this new movie, Hot Take, The Depp Heard Trial. Very excited, first of all, to always see you working, because you, like I, have been like hustling in this entertainment world forever and ever. So it's always good when we have a win. How did this even come about? Like, you landing the role of the ever popular Johnny Depp, and especially during this very interesting trial that we all got to witness.
Yes, very, very relevant times. Well, it was a thing where I knew the trial was happening, because every time I'd go to somewhere for a meeting or go see a friend or whatever, they would be like, oh, one more second, and be watching it. Or like, I was at my birthday weekend in Florida with friends, and we were on the plane, and people were watching on the plane, and I'm like, hey, what about me? But no, it was everywhere. So naturally I was like, oh, what's going on? Oh, show me the sound bites. Oh, cool. And then the actual verdict landed on my birthday. I just remember we were all in a hotel room and it was just on the TV, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. But then shortly after that, um, the producer kind of hit me up and said, "Hey, how are your Johnny mannerisms?" And I was like, and they're like, "Here, I'm sending you these sides. Don't share them with anybody. You can't talk about it. Sign this NDA, but send me a tape really quick."
Mhm.
So I just remember thinking, I'm like, this is like, there's so many other actors for this role. I don't know, but hey, it's been a minute since I've had a fun audition, and this is challenging to play somebody who, as we said, is very relevant now and pretty. Uh, it was just a pretty challenging situation. I was up for it, not really thinking anything of it. So I threw it on tape really quick. I got creative with some of the scenes and sent it over, and like immediately after, the producers sent me like a screenshot of the text from the director, who was just very excited about me, and then they went to Fox and for approval and to Tubi, and I was approved quickly, and then had less than 2 weeks to get it together before we started shooting this thing. So yeah,
Oh,
it was intense. So yeah, spent the next week and a half watching as much as I could of the trial, and watching interviews and working on the script, and then of course asking lots of questions, because actually before I even agreed to do it, I was like, I have to read how you guys are doing this, because it's a very controversial topic, and if this is going to be biased in any way or disrespect anyone that is been a victim of domestic violence or anything like that, then no thank you.
yeah.
So I read it, and then I said, well, this doesn't seem fair, or this isn't accurate, and like, can we change? And so like, we just went back. We spent a lot of time doing that because it was the most important thing, and really less time prepping for everything else. So yeah, but we got to a point where we're like, let's go, and 11 days later, the movie was done. So it just happened.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then a few weeks after that, I was in ADR because they already had edited the movie together. And
Wow.
it started airing on the 30th, I think.
Yeah.
30th, yeah.
And we hadn't even been wrapped for a month yet at that point. So it was.
Have you ever been part of a production that was that quick?
Not that fast, no.
Yeah.
I've been part of some that have been fast, but not that fast. And I've talked to a lot of my other actor friends, and they're just like, I've never heard of that. Like that's insane. And because when it was on, they're like, wait, how did? But it just trial just ended. How is it already? How you already shot it and it's airing now? Like I don't understand. I was like, yeah, me either.
Yeah. Well, Hollywood, they always try to like get on the trend. They're like, hey, if we're gonna do this, gotta put this out now.
They had a small window, and yeah, it was quick.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So, Mark, did you? I know you said you looked at mostly interviews. Did you delve into any of Johnny's performances, or was there even time for that, or did you just stick with the footage from either the trial or interviews he does?
Yeah, I mean, I stuck mainly to interviews. So the movie takes place in the recent, present, in the courtroom, and then also 10 years leading up to it with different flashbacks of their relationship and when they met. So what I did was, for a lot of those scenes, I would find interviews that he was doing around those times and like kind of see where he was mentally, emotionally, physically, and like try to match up that. I steered clear of performances because the last thing I wanted this to come off as is a parody or an impression or impersonation of him, like a caricature, because it could very easily go there. And I actually thought it was more important that it was nuanced in a sense where you feel what it might be. There might be some reflections in the voice and mannerisms, but more bringing myself to it because I think that's just a safer choice. So yeah, I stayed away from performances because that would have led me down like Johnny Depp type.
Yeah.
Suddenly we would have had Jack Sparrow in the trial
Yeah.
rather than Johnny Depp.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we like you said, we all watched this trial. It was impossible not to at the time. Every day was something new, something shocking to cling to, whether we wanted to or not. So it was impossible to get away from. I'm wondering, you said that you're also covering the 10 years before the trial, where the events that were discussed were happening. We all saw what was going on in the courtroom, but having to play all these private moments, was that a little more difficult because you couldn't see, you didn't see that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think more difficult and easier. Like, so the stuff that was on the stand, like, luckily we had everything available to us. Every moment, every breath, every bit of his cadence and all that was available to both me and the actress that plays Amber. And that was a blessing and a curse, because you can't really take any liberties. So you got to match. So, but it's also available, so it makes it easier. But the stuff that was behind closed doors was an opportunity for us to kind of tap into the humanity of it all, because I think a lot of that was removed in talking on the stands when you're just discussing things, and when you're doing dramatizations of a testimony. You get to wonder, like, well, what are these two like behind closed doors? We all know in relationships we're in, like,
Yeah.
we're much different together and alone than we are to people. It's very intimate, and it's very it's not as simple as like versus as everyone thinks. Like, these were two people that were madly in love, or at least thought they were madly in love. We don't know. Like, we weren't in the relationship. So finding some truth and humanity to those situations that were being testified was the goal. Like, because none of us know. We don't know what happened. None of us will ever know, and honestly, none of our opinions matter about it.
Yeah.
That's really, like, as simple as it is, and I think that was important to portray in the movie, and also, with breaking fourth wall, reminding people that this is just a dramatization. We're not saying this happened. We're not saying this didn't happen. We're just bringing facts from the trial to the screen and giving them life, so that maybe you can see them in a different light than you had when you just heard them talked about.
Yeah. What I liked is that as an actor who was going to portray someone, and with the seriousness of the trial and everything like that, that you really did look at the script and wanted to make sure that there were no biases, or that it didn't lean any way towards the other, and things like that. And I think that's important, that people understand that yes, it's always great to have work or be approached with a project, but you're still the name and face of what you put out there, and you definitely don't want to be a part of something that may be a detriment to either one of them, especially during such a trying time, I'm sure, for the both of them. Did you find it difficult portraying Johnny, especially since, like, most of the time when actors portray someone, it's usually someone from the past who has already passed or anything like that. Did you find it difficult or nerve wracking that you were going to portray someone who is A, still alive, and B, had just gone through this whole ordeal?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, playing a historical figure. I've done that before too. I've played people that are still alive too, but like in a different time in their life, and also not to the degree of notoriety and fame as Johnny Depp, who everybody knows in detail, and everyone just watched this human being. So yeah, I had moments where I was like, what are you doing? This is like the most riskiest thing you can do, and no matter what, somebody's gonna hate it.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna give you crap about it, and all I focused on was the fact that it, as a creative, as an artist, it is my job to take on challenges in the face of backlash, and in the face of controversy, and just bring truth to them, because like life is ugly, art is ugly. It's not pretty, and I knew that this movie was being made with or without me, so I took it as an opportunity to feel honored that I can bring as much truth to it as possible, and protect it to some degree, right? Because who knows if somebody would have just came in doing the impersonation and making it come off as biased or like I don't know. Megan and I both like fought so hard on a daily basis to be like, well, this isn't quite fair, or this isn't what they said, or this seems like it's a little exaggerated from what they said, and that's not fair. So like, we would hope that if they were to see this, that they would see that we did our best to keep it true, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Well, the likeness was uncanny. Like there was
Weird.
a moment where I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "No, wait, that's Mark." Like it like
And it's still kind of there right now.
Yeah.
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 Did COVID have something to do with this look?
So I've never. I mean, Tony's known me for years. I've never had facial hair.
never.
Ever. And I didn't know I could grow it until the pandemic. I was just like, no one's going to see me for however long. And so it just came in this like bushwhack type crazy way. And then I kept it, then I lost it, then the hair grew in. Then I've done a few movies since then where they're like trying to cut it down, but I was like, but I want to see where it can go and never grab my hair out. And like, I'm the soap, like it was always very limiting what I could do with my hair. I mean, they would do like hair tests. They had very specific guidelines for Nathan's look. So I grew it out, and then it kept getting kind of cut and then regrowing and cut and regrowing. And then right when this came out, I was like, I've never had a goatee. What does that look like? And I did it right before this audition. And the hair I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess this is the closest I'm ever going to come to it. So I might as well. And I want to shave it now, but there's another project that I might be up for that might require it. So I got to wait.
Okay. Well, I mean, I dig it. It's a cool look on you, I think.
Yeah.
From opposed to like, I mean, I met you many moons ago. So, but you know, it was a fresh face, and now we're like man now.
Yeah.
I could see you keeping this look for a Nathan Horton return, though. If Nathan was off like with Doctors Without Borders somewhere, yeah.
He's lived some life at this point, and he's probably been living in some dire circumstances, you know.
Well, yeah. Well, speaking of, before we let you go, you know, it's the age-old question. You know, I'm sure all of our Days fans would like to know. If the phone ever rang and they requested you to come back as Nathan Horton, would you be open to a Nathan Horton return?
Hey, I never dead end anything, right?
Right.
Phone's not ringing, but you know, if it were, I'd answer it.
Yeah.
I'd have a conversation.
I mean, I feel like now you just never know, because there've been some people like popping up in Salem, even just for like short stints. And so I feel like, you know, a revisit with Nathan could be good, especially now.
Salem can use an edgier Horton right now, right?
Salem could use any Hortons right now.
They keep dropping off like flies.
I've been gone. I haven't seen any of them. So
we were missing the Horton family a little bit here.
Wow.
The house is a little empty.
Yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, they may need a replenish. They may need a backhaul out to Hortons that are available.
What I have a question for you, because you haven't been on Days for about like 9 or 10 years, but you've been working, from what I've noticed, pretty consistently. What is one thing, or maybe multiple things, that you took from that experience on Days that you've been able to use in other projects? For instance, I'm wondering if like the fast pace of shooting Days helped with the fast pace of shooting this Hot Take, which apparently, would you say, took 11 days to shoot a film?
I think it was technically 12 days, but we had 11 days. There's a social media element to the movie that they took 1 day to shoot as well, which we weren't there for. It's our only day off, which I was in the studio recording the ending song for anyway. So I didn't really have any days off. Either of us did. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't unlike the soap. We got 1 take per shot in this movie and rushed without rehearsal. I mean, at least on Days we had a rehearsal, but we rushed through. And the difference is there wasn't 3 cameras capturing us, so we had to like do everything from different angles, and it was fast.
Wow.
The memorizing wasn't unlike Days as well, because I think I used to average like 30-40 pages a night, you know, on Days.
Wow.
This was memorizing testimonies, but then adding detail to them. So it was a lot of that. That definitely, it's like a soap for anybody is actors boot camp, and like it is. You learn how to do it quickly. You learn how to make exposition sound natural. It's not just hey Tony, haven't seen you in a few years. How you doing? It's hey Tony, haven't seen you since Bo and Hope ran off to here. And like catching everybody up on episodes of things in a hello.
Yeah.
It teaches you to be able to work with dialogue that it isn't necessarily natural and then make it natural. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mark, sorry, are we good?
No, go ahead.
If you did come back to Days, how would you like to see Nathan Horton show up now? Like a little edgier, or still some of the same characteristics, or I'd like to see them do this with him that we didn't maybe get to do before.
Yeah, I mean, I annoyed a lot of people when I was on that show because I was always like, I don't know, like what if Nathan's really sad right now? He's drinking a lot more. Melanie, isn't paying attention to him. Like maybe he prescribes himself some painkillers. Maybe and they're like, he's a Horton. No. And I was like,
you can't do that.
Well, that has changed. Trust me.
That's changed too.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that's progressed. Bring him back with a lot of worldly knowledge back to this small town, and like he's been in the trenches, really saving lives and experiencing life, and having no time for probably love and romance, or maybe he did have romance and lost her in the process. Who knows? That would be a lot of fun.
I like it.
Okay. Well, listen, we have put that out in the universe, so sometimes you never know what can happen. But we are super excited to see you on Tubi's Hot Take. So you Days fans out there, make sure you go tune in. Listen, we got you to switch over to one streaming service. This is just another streaming service you can go check this out at. Check it out on Tubi, Hot Take, The Depp Heard Trial, starring Mr. Mark Hapka. Mark, it's always great to catch up with you and great to see you. And we wish you nothing but the best moving forward.
Same to you. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for taking the time, and thank you for having me.
Always. All right. Well, good luck to you, Mark. We'll keep up with you, and when something else pops up, come on back in.
Yeah.
Plan.
Thanks,
guys.
Right.
Great day.
Care, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, I love that. I love catching up with people.
Yeah.
That's really good. So y'all make sure you go support Mark on Tubi's Hot Take, the Depp Heard Trial. It's going to be good. And Mark looks really a lot
I
like Johnny
like
Depp.
his
It's
look.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always like a little hipster look. So that look is working.
But just from like the minute he popped on the screen, I was like, oh, if we took Nathan Horton in this direction, I would dig it so
You're so
much.
used to seeing him in one way, yeah.
As long as he still, has a couple of, coming out of the shower scenes that he did back in the day. As long as they sprinkle in a couple of those. He can be hipster, but as long as he's, still, we still get to see the goods.
Dola Mitex has a really cool idea in the chat room.
Who? Oh.
Wow. See, this is why we love our chat room people. Like, they just, like, the way their mind works, like, everybody just bounces off each other. I love it.
But I honestly, because Stefanie, Nathan and Stefanie used to have a thing, and remember, she keeps talking about a guy that and I was just like, what if it was Nathan? So let's get on with how this week was. You guys tell everyone what you thought about this week's episodes of Days of Our Lives, while I run and get my charger because it just said low battery, and I forgot to plug in my charger. So. You guys, tell the kind folks. Shut up, Michael Madness. I saw that judgment. What did you guys think of this week's episodes of Days? I know, so unprofessional, I know.
Quick catch up. It was a quick catch up. I was kind of surprised at how quickly it flew through things. I was trying to think. This was the theme. I came up with like a theme for this week. This week's theme was like pushing forward. Felt like everybody was just kind of like trying to push their way forward out of relationships into new ones, into new careers. It was just like, okay, we're making the push forward.
Okay.
I liked it. Sometimes I have to like really go back and like think about what actually happened this week.
Mhm.
I did like it. I think we got a lot of interesting stuff. Like thinking about it in my head, I was like, oh, not much happened. But then when you go back and look, you're like, oh, actually, this got started, and this we had a movement of plot here and there. So yeah, I actually really like this this week.
And there were a lot of like cross storylines
Yeah.
going on, like
Yep.
people in different
Mhm.
areas and things. So, but in lots of conversations. But yeah, I have some thoughts.
Yeah.
I texted you most of them.
I felt like this week was it's like an info week, just kind of pushing things forward.
That's what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah, just you know. Well, let's talk about it because later on we have another guest coming on, Mr. Roark Critchlow, who plays Mike Horton, who popped up in Salem this week. So we'll get a chance to talk to him. But and before we do that, we have to take a moment to wish a very happy birthday to Mr. Justin Lee Hareld.
Oh,
Oh,
it's like
happy birthday.
thanks.
The big 5-0. Congratulations,
Oh.
Justin.
Don't I look great for 50?
You look amazing. You know what it is? It's that big jug of whatever you always drink every Sunday. That is
Which he doesn't have today. He has like a normal sized water bottle.
You know what? The
What the hell?
old big I was gonna say the old glass. I was gonna say the old big jugs were somewhere else, but the old glass is in the old place, and so I haven't replaced them yet. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Well, happy
No,
birthday.
Justin is not really 50, by the way, y'all.
He's not. He's 40. He's 40, right?
Sure, we'll go with that. Sure.
41, right?
He's not 50. He's not 50. We don't have to. He doesn't have to tell if he doesn't want to, but he's not 50.
No, I'm 41. I mean,
41.
you can. It's on Instagram. Yeah.
I was like, he posted it, and I thought I saw 40, but maybe you were
Well,
like trying to shave
I
off
put
a year.
40 as like this past year was 40,
Yeah.
and then
And then you turned 41. Look at that math. Well, happy birthday, Justin.
Thank you.
We wish you many more. We hope that your day has been absolutely fabulous. And I must say, it was only until this morning that I worried whether or not you were going to make the show, because yesterday you had a grand old time. So kudos to you for being 41 and still being able to party like it's 1999, but still show up when you're supposed to.
Listen, it was a little bit of a struggle. I'll tell you guys. Yeah, this will be the Dishin Days after dark. But yeah, I'll tell you. That it was a little.
Did you remember to take the
struggle
Advil?
there.
Did you remember to take the Advil before bed?
Listen, I
No.
don't even remember. I don't remember going to bed. That's
That's a
Oh.
good birthday. That's a good
I
birthday.
did go to bed. I don't. Yeah. After the show, we'll talk about it.
Wow. All right. Well, y'all, it's now time to start.
Dishin Days.
Dishin Days.
Sorry.
Oh, it looked like I was frozen.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just
Yeah.
waiting for y'all. Okay, it's now time to start.
I'll just do this.
Dishin Days.
Dishin Days.
Whatever.
Ba-bum. Okay, let's start. All right, y'all. So we're gonna start off with the first storyline with Jennifer, Jack, Gwen, Xander, Sarah, Mike, Leo, and Doug and Julie.
Tony, you're like.
Are you trying to figure out what question to ask or what?
I just don't know. It's like where to start, because it's like at the same time, Gwen remembered, then Jennifer remembered.
Yeah.
Jennifer tried to apologize. There was a bit of a you just came back here to kill me, y'all.
Yeah.
How you go? And then it was like
Then it was a
won't tell
complete
anyone.
shift.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, because I was like, I know they not about to send Jennifer off. I mean, they done send enough people to. You know what? If you realize Days has like every year it's something new where they send people off. First it was Bayview. Like everybody was going to Bayview one year, right? Everybody. Like Bayview. Check them into Bayview. Gotta go to Bayview. They in Bayview. Go visit them at Bayview, right? And now it's Statesville. Everybody going to jail. You go to jail. You go to jail. Everybody just go to jail. So I wonder what next year is going to be. But anyway, I was glad that Gwen just kind of said, I'll just keep it to myself. I won't say anything. But if you're going to decide that, don't tell your friend
Yeah.
who then tries to go extort money. And why does everybody want $1 million? I was like, does Jack have $1 million?
I know. I was like,
Just
And
feels like
yeah,
a
that was my
number.
question too. Like, I'm
Because
sure
if
they're well off, but
yeah,
$1
$1
million?
million. Well, he's from a wealthy, but I couldn't remember the timeline of his money. He is from a wealthy family, but I was like, when he said like, I don't have it, I was like, oh yeah, that made like finally someone is saying like, I don't have that much money. And then he was like, oh no, I gotta
go get it from an account
Yeah.
first. Oh,
It's like,
I'm like, okay.
But my question is, how is it that all these rich people are staying with other people? Like, you don't want to buy your own house? And it's
In
Salem.
can't be that big a spec-
Salem's
expensive.
houses don't cost that much. I would say a good house probably costs like what?
Like 400,000.
Right. I was thinking 500,000. But like if you just got $1 million sitting in the bank that you could just pass on to somebody, surely you can go up the hill and build yourself a house so that you can stop living in everybody else's.
Well, look, I predict, with this bump in income, we'll probably see more of people's homes, coming up. So, from my lips to the producer's ears.
Right. I did like the moment with Doug and Julie saying that they had just visited Abigail and then they went over to visit Laura. It was just a moment of like,
yeah,
Laura's passed too, and they haven't had that moment where anyone has been to her gravesite to just like, and then to have Mike pop out and be like, hey, I was like, I like this. Even though he was only on for a day, I really wish that he was on more.
Yeah,
He
I
was
was
just there to pick up Jennifer.
disappointed in that actually, and
Why?
yeah, that kind of disappointed me.
That he was only on for a day?
Yeah, I thought like seeing him in the promo, I felt like that was the most exciting part for me. Like the other stuff was good too, but it was like, oh, Mike's back. And then it was like, oh, he's literally back for a day. And then he also didn't interact with people I thought he should have. Or like
who?
he did, I think I'm gonna ask, this is one of my questions to ask him later, but there was no Mike Craig scene, which I was like, oh, that's kind of a weird.
Yeah, a lot of people were disappointed in that, but
Like,
it feels like, we could say that about a lot of people, but then he doesn't. And goes back to what I was saying earlier with Mark, where there's not a lot of Hortons around, and that's a problem.
Yeah. Like I love the Mike Nancy scene we got and thought that was great, but I wish we got a little bit of like a Mike Craig scene, even if it was just short.
Yeah. But it does feel like he was there to do what he needed to do. It seems like he's doing well. He was there to pick up Jennifer. I'm really glad that, I know obviously this is probably more for production reasons that, Jennifer's going off on her own, that Jack's not coming with her. But I also feel like that was an important marker for Jennifer to make in her journey to getting sober, which was like, I appreciate that you want to come with me, but you're only going to be able to go so far in this journey with me anyways. This is something that I have to do. And if I'm going to really go all the way, I need to start right now.
Yeah. 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 I remember what I was going to say now. The shock for me was not his interaction with Nancy and how they ended up like kind of like burying the hatchet after all these years, because that was a very trying time. Like the Wesleys did some dirt to try to get Craig as the chief of staff, right? But Mike saying, even as a kid, I questioned my own sexuality. I was like, what? Not Mike Horton. I was like, who wrote that?
That was the storyline on the show, yeah.
Yeah.
It was?
That was actually a
Yeah, it
storyline.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When?
It was
back in the 70s.
Yeah.
Basically,
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 3 mics ago. Like, because there's been like 5 episodes played, so
There's been a lot of mics.
Like 3 mics ago.
I think at one point I read Roark is the 11th mic.
Yeah.
There's been a lot. He's actually one of those characters where they aged him and then de-aged him and then aged him back. Like he should be like an 80-year-old man the way they messed with his age, but I mean, yeah, whatever. But basically he had I think he had like ED, erectile dysfunction, and that like started making him go down the path of like, oh, am I not attracted to women? And then he started questioning his sexuality, and then it sort of worked itself out. But it was an actual storyline on the show.
So many
Wow.
questions.
See, I never knew that. I mean,
Yeah.
I got into Mike Horton in the 90s.
Mhm.
So for me, it was a surprise because I was like, did somebody just write that in? Like, but see, again, I'm glad you shared that, and I'm glad we clarified that because again, it goes back to I don't care what the fans tweet to Ron or to the other writers or anything like that. When it comes to the history of Days, they use it like to the best of their ability and to a T. Like,
and that was like perfect symmetry because I mean you couldn't like that wasn't something that like you said that was made up just to like just to influence his conversation with Nancy. Like they really pulled that out.
Really delving into like deep into the characters' history this week, into the characters' motivations, and using them properly, which is why we love Days, which is why we love the writing. And I felt like it was the same thing when it came to Gwen, the decision to have Gwen cover for Jennifer. Because everybody was like, well, is this going to hold? Is she really going to cover for her? You know, where's the investigation going to go? And my mind always went to, she's doing this for her mom. She's doing this for what she couldn't do for her own mother. You know, and I know she loves Jack, but you know, like Jack loved Abigail, she didn't cut her any slack. You know, she maybe she feels she owes Jennifer something for, you know, the way that Laura died, but I think this is mostly about, you know, how she couldn't save her own mom.
Yeah.
So I think it'll hold.
Yeah, I hope so, and I hope it's not something that like Gwen will later like use over her head or like blackmail or anything like that.
But now that I think about it, now I'm questioning: is it smart for Jennifer's recovery?
What to have that looming secret?
Yeah, because that's, you know, part of recovery is, you know, making amends and
She did when she said I was sorry when she was
taking full responsibility for your actions. And while she may have made amends with Gwen, I'm wondering if, you know, that little part of her that's like, I committed a crime, you know, and I was never prosecuted for it. I was never punished for it. I wonder if that, you know, might down the line haunt her. And I think that might be more of Jennifer's undoing than Gwen would be.
Well, maybe that'll be a future storyline. Well, I'm glad Jennifer's getting help. I'm glad that Mike was there to help her out. We do wish that Mike was there a little bit longer. Like, there's a part of me that wants him to like go drop her off and then come back to Salem.
Come back, yeah.
Is that bad?
No, it could be in the works, you know.
Yeah. So yeah. I feel like that was there anything else with that? Oh, there's Xander and Sarah involved in this as well, and there was a conversation. Was that this week? The conversation with Gwen and Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Monday.
Yep.
I feel like they were leading us to maybe believe that Sarah was the one that, for whatever reason, I just felt like in that scene I was like, oh, they're trying to make us believe with the way Sarah was acting that like, oh, well, did you see who did it? And asking her all these questions about it. I'm like, oh, are they trying to make us think? Because at that moment, it was just assumed, like we didn't see the impact. We just knew that Jennifer had gotten in the car and was driving to the police station. And, you know, there was someone mentioned last week, maybe we're assuming it's Jennifer because of the circumstances, but it was actually someone else. And so I believe for those few moments, and then they just did a flip and it was like Gwen remembered, Jennifer remembered.
Exactly.
I was like, oh, okay. So they're just moving this along now.
Well,
okay. They're not like going to put this on.
Yeah. So, you know, I read that differently before that I thought that conversation with Sarah was going to lead to Gwen trying to frame Sarah for running her down. But then, you know, I think once, you know, Jennifer came in and said, I know it was me, Jack came in and said, I know it was her. Then I'm like, nah, that's not going to hold water. Cause even if she tried it at this point, Jack would call her on it. You know,
Who did-
but I do like that Xander now knows, because that's another little thread out there. You know,
that he knows that it was Jennifer.
yeah, because it's like, yes, all these people, none of these people want to flip on Jennifer, but it's the law of numbers that, the fact that this person knows and that person knows and this person knows and that person knows. When too many people know something that's supposed to stay very much secret, it's the law of averages that somehow, some way, somebody's gonna slip up.
True. And I'm glad also that after all this time, Xander's looking for a job.
Yes, I know, right?
Yay! Employment.
Once again, we got that story of the manager knocking on the door or whatever. I feel like every 3 months he says that to someone.
Yeah.
Like broke.
That he's been able to put off that hotel bill for
a
year.
I know.
But I think I like that he went to Jack, not just because he's his friend, but because the way he spun it, he's like, he has worked for and run an international conglomerate. He could easily do like PR stuff. I could see it.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Do y'all think Craig is going to pay for Leo's debts? There was a moment.
He paid for the martini, and that's it. I was like, he's not gonna. I'd be mad if they had him be like, okay, yeah, I'll pay off all your debts, then I'm done with you. I would have been mad.
Because there was a moment where I thought it was going to happen, especially the timing of like when he walked up and I was like, "Ooh, they're gonna have this beer," and Craig is going to end up like Venmoing him money.
You Venmo be 10 grand, yeah.
Right. All right. Well, that's it with that storyline. Let's move on to our girls who are fighting for their life. Rex, John, Marlena, Kristen, Rolf, Brady, Chloe, and Nancy. Kristen and that orchid. I know she's going to use it to her advantage.
She's just taken petty. Mm-hmm. Just when you think that Kristen can't take petty to a new low, she does. On 2 different fronts this week.
And it's
Who
like
leaves a nasty note in a child lunchbox? Like,
Chloe's the reason why your dad, I can't see you. It's like
literally, that is something that a 6-year-old does.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah, it wasn't even clever or sly. It was just literally like Chloe's to blame.
And not even handwritten. It was printed out.
Yeah.
She opened a Word doc.
Yeah.
Typed it up.
Yeah.
Printed it.
Mm-hmm.
Put it into her lunchbox.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was almost like so that she could read it and understand it. I want you to know that the reason why I can't see you is because of Chloe. And the way Rachel acted at the tea party. First of all, that tea party was beautiful.
Yeah,
beautiful tea party. Loved it. Loved that Chloe put all that work into it. But when she threw that scone over at Chloe, but she was even laughing. Like they cut back to it. She was like,
"Oh yeah,"
like she wasn't even like,
yeah.
She was like, "Gotcha, bitch." That's
gotcha,
what it
bitch.
felt like.
Man.
But it's like, at what point is Kristen going to realize that the reason why she's not with Rachel is her, and that she could be with Rachel had she just let Chloe and Brady? I say this every week. Let Chloe and Brady be together. Just say, "I'm here for my daughter, and we just need to work this out so that
And
you
this
pass her
is-
off to me, and that's it."
I mean, this is the issue of dealing with an unstable parent, is that it's like, especially when the kids are young, you can't tell them anything unless the kid actually sees like the parent behaving in the worst of the worst of the worst way. Like somebody would have to go up to Rachel and tell her that mommy is going to let Grandma Marlena die. It would have to get to that point for Rachel to get it. But then there's a flip side of a good parent doesn't want to traumatize their kid.
Who's Brady, who could have unleashed everything that Kristen has been doing the past few years.
Won't do that because he's a good parent.
Because he's trying to shield her.
And exactly. So it's like that's the total like, oh God, the frustration of being a good parent is like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, I will say I did like the Kristen Marlena conversation. like them trying to quote unquote play nice while sort of seething at each other and the
Oh
jab.
God, what was Marlena's line? Oh shoot, I remember I
Oh
chuckled.
yeah, I know what you mean. I'm trying to remember what she said.
Was it
was
before or after a call?
LOL.
Did she like open her eyes and she was like, "Oh, you're still here"? Was it that one?
There
At
was
one
something.
point, yeah.
God, I can't remember now.
Yeah,
I meant
I
to
know what you
write it
mean.
down so I could bring it up, but I forgot. She had a zinger for Kristen.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that was funny.
Oh, that was funny.
That was cute.
Yeah, and I don't know. And that visit was definitely to check to see. Let's see how close to death's bed
Yeah.
door that Marlena is at, so that
Yeah.
I can be like, Brady, your mom's dying. If you want to save her, you're gonna have to give me what I want. That was a great Kristen impression. I did good.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Oh
yeah,
wow,
yeah.
I'm so good at this. I am
Yeah.
so good at this. This is
If
great.
you don't say so yourself.
Huh?
If you don't
Love
say
that
so
for you.
yourself.
And I do say so myself. I do. Yeah. And also, can someone explain to me and John Black which store places a milkshake in a brown
In a
paper
bag.
bag?
That was I noticed that too, and I was like, that doesn't seem normal, but okay.
We'll go with it. But I'm like,
I feel like I'm trying to remember somewhere they did that to me. I bought 2 drinks and they put it in a bag, and I remember holding it and being like, "Oh, this kind of works." Now I can't remember where it was.
I was more taken out by when he was like, "It's a coffee milkshake." Usually, you don't hear like
A coffee milk.
flavor.
Yeah, I was like, but
Usually
can
it's,
she
you know,
have
strawberry or
can she
vanilla
have
or
coffee?
chocolate.
Marlena didn't want nothing. Everybody kept bringing stuff to her, and she was like, maybe later.
Mhm.
Yeah. Let her rest. Just let her rest.
Not that time.
Leave her alone.
That's how it. No, not right now.
Yeah.
I am on it with the impressions today.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
God.
But that's. I mean,
He got booze. There was booze in the car.
It's a vodka milkshake.
that's really it. That's all I can remember about that storyline.
Yeah, there was.
You know what the problem is for me this week is that I have been watching daily now that it comes out. So I've been watching daily, and so now I'm like, wait, what happened this week?
That's
Yeah.
how I am. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I watch it so much earlier. I kind of watch it in the morning now when I kind of first get up and get it ready.
Oh, I know what I wanted to comment on. Well, first of all, this is the one time I'm actually really glad that Rex is in town because he seems to be on it.
Yeah, he seems to be really like.
He took a
his brain
different
came
angle
back.
and is like, let me
He must
see.
not be screwing around anymore.
Yeah, let me. He did what the ISA didn't do. He stopped studying the disease and started studying the enemy. And because he knows Orpheus, he knows the history between his parents, and he's like, okay, what is something he kind of went back in the archives himself and kind of like, what Orpheus is all about circles. What would be something that he would do? So that's how he found it, and I was like, you're right on the money.
Because Rolf ain't saying nothing. He's like, Roark no longer exists.
Yeah. But out of that,
to Marlena,
but out
Kate,
of Rex,
and Kayla.
That's the going. I love you still.
Yeah.
all right. Tony's impressions. Take a pause for a second while I make my
I
point.
was in the midst of my impression, so you were stomping on my impression. So now that I'm done, you can continue.
We got an update. It was a blink and you miss it update of Rex commenting on Rolf's work. It was a blink and you miss it update of like, say twins.
Oh.
So Cassie's out there somewhere. We just don't know where she is.
Well, everybody's out there something. Nathan Horton is out there somewhere.
But for a while, we were kind of like wondering, did they just kind of scrap that?
No, because he brought that up when he first
came
back too, and I had to be reminded of that. I had to be reminded that Roman and Kate are the parents.
Yeah.
Listen, in 57 years of history, like sometimes the struggle is real.
Yeah, but it's nice to get an update every once in a while.
Yeah.
How we're small.
That's it with that storyline, right? Am I missing anything for us to discuss? Well, let's move on. Alex. Oh, never mind. That's
No.
good.
Yeah.
Alex,
Exactly.
Stephanie, Chad, Paulina, Abe, Salome. What do you guys think of Chad working with Public Relations or SJPR?
SJPR.
PR.
I
You know
like
what?
it.
For some reason, that sounds so sleek. Like when she said it, when she's like
Yeah.
SJPR, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, Miss Johnson, I see you.
But like we all think of Sarah Jessica Parker plus something else.
Well, this is true.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I did that the first couple of times she said
Yeah.
it.
But I like it for all the reasons that Chad brought up. I like it because
Yeah.
he's like, I'm out of work. What am I doing while my kids are in
Mhm.
school? I need something to occupy my mind. I need something to help push me forward. Abigail, yeah, it was all these things. I was like, yeah, this works. Just please keep it professional. I don't know of anyone who wants this to go personal so fast.
So
Yeah.
fast.
Well, I mean,
So
there's
Not now.
there's a couple of things. Like I kind of wish them working together was like a day after, like I mean, he just saw Abigail. He
Yeah.
just realized who like I just feel like his emotional state while saying, "Yes, I need something to do." I just feel like he should have a beat, to like, really get his mind right. Apparently, he fell right in. He was able to help Stefanie with all of Paulina's demands because she came in and she was like, "Look here,
She came
little
in hot.
girl, you ain't do this, you ain't do the emailers, you might be able to. What are you doing, SJPR?"
Mhm.
PR.
But
But she's right, though. The world doesn't stop. So if you physically can't take on the task, delegate.
this is true. But I mean, it looks like SJPR is just SJ.
Really.
Well, now it's gonna be Chad, but now I'm interested in Miss Salome coming out of nowhere, talking
Yeah.
about some sort of scandal, something. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
What did Chanel do this time?
But first of all, I'm looking at Salome like, who are your like who like where did you, ma'am? Where did you come from? Like we thought you was a trick for Alex, and you was supposed to be on your way. Now you representing like everybody in Salem,
Yeah.
being the second lawyer we know.
She's a
And then
scumbag
now
lawyer.
you know what? She's like a Dr. Schneider,
Mhm.
sneaky snake with a sneaky snake face,
No.
coming
I
in
don't think
causing
she's
trouble.
bad.
All the scumbags go to her.
See, I don't think she's a villain though.
No. I don't know. By scumbag lawyer, I don't mean that she
Yeah.
is a scumbag herself. I mean she represents.
Oh,
She makes
yeah,
a
yeah,
career
yeah.
out of representing scumbags, and because she is notorious for that, they come to her.
Yeah.
Salome about to spill some tea that I'm wondering how she dug up. See, she doing too much.
Or who's the client? Yeah.
Like I don't know if she's from Salem, if she got roots in Salem, if she was passing through and stopped, but she's already stirring the pot, and we ain't realized she had a pot to stir. Hi, Bimpy.
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Well,
really
that's
like her
fun.
character though. I've said
Yeah.
I like what she brings to the show, and like I think we haven't had a character like her on for a while.
She's going toe to toe with a lot of different
Yeah.
people. And that's the thing is like usually you stay in the same orbit, but she's gone toe to toe with Rafe. She's now going toe to toe with Paulina. They're very different characters, very different careers. So it's like this is going to be interesting.
She reminds me of when they first brought in Ari Zucker as Nicole. Like it was like a Model S type role. It kind of reminded me of that. Like, not what if Salonis shut up. But it reminded me of that. Like, the call went out of like basically a model who could act, and now we have Salome.
That's the one. Yeah,
What?
that's right. When Rolanda was on the back in the day,
She played Brady's lawyer. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, but there is one more thing I wanted to talk about. I know that we've been told that the like Peacock produced shows won't start airing for a couple of months. However, I beg to differ. I think they knew this was coming down the pipeline, so they could sneak some stuff in, because I never in a million years thought I would hear. Well, I imagine behind closed doors, but to say out loud in front of us, Paulina tell the distinguishable Mayor Abe Carver how fine his black ass looks.
She ain't wrong.
I mean, she's not wrong, but I was like, wait, what? What? She say what?
I hear that stuff, and I think it was just a Jackie ad lib that they were like, okay, leave it in.
Just Jack A being Jack A.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
It was cute though. I like that. I like that they,
Oh no, I like it, and it shows that they're very much in love and very in the groove of their marriage. But it's like a lot of butt talk this week.
I thought
there was cute butt talk, and then there was not cute butt talk.
Yeah, it was just a lot of butt talk.
Butt talk.
What other
butt talks?
Butt talks. Butt talks.
And not Alex wanted to fire Stefanie so that he could possibly still do.
Okay. I need a cease and desist. I need to send a cease and desist for scenes of Alex and Sunny yelling at each other.
No, but this time it was warranted. This time I feel like
warning.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it wasn't warranted. I'm just saying it's boring now because every week we're and it's just like they're yelling at each other, and I'm like, I don't care anymore. Y'all are just yelling at each other.
But this was the first time. First of all, like I like that at the beginning of the week, Will was like, "Shut up, get over it." I was like, "Thank you, voice of reason, Will, for being like, hey, he almost died."
And then what happens? Will leaves, and they get home, and they're back.
No, but that was the first time I felt like Sunny. We've talked a little bit how like maybe like Sunny's been like really overreacting about some things. This was the first time I was like, no, Sunny's reaction is 100% warranted. When you're like trying to beat down a door that just won't budge, and you're sick, you're recovering, your body, your mind doesn't have time for this kind of crap, and you're just like, oh my god. Yeah, this is the first time I was like, yeah, I 100% agree with his like rolling around on the couch in physical and emotional agony of like, this is exhausting.
I agree with what Sunny was saying. I'm just saying
the
scenes themselves are and it's like, like these two brothers just like
I know you did, Michael. Is that another what's the other one you do?
That was Eric.
The Brady voice and the Eric voice from Michael Madden all sound the same.
That is very much though how Eric would treat Sammy.
I don't know.
Like, oh my
god.
Oh, and we were treated to another. Oh, he's vaguely familiar. With
I knew when that came on Monday, you were gonna be so upset.
I was not even like I was like, I am not even 10 minutes into Monday's episode, and they're pulling that shit. And they did it again. No, they didn't do it again later. It was that one where he was like, "Oh, the Playboy hot, very vaguely familiar." I'm like, "Oh no. You're supposed to forget that he was Ben. How are we supposed to forget he was Ben if they keep fucking bringing it up every week? It's tired.
Never forget.
I'm like it. I wanted to stop watching. However, they won me over with the Golden Girls reference later in the week. I was like, okay, that I can say no off. He said something. Sunny said something about like he was like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "Oh, I was talking about St. Olaf's pie contest."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Something to do with St. Olaf. And I was like, okay, you won me back. I was mad at y'all, but you won me back.
Yeah,
you're like, it's been 15 years. We can give the gays a Golden Girls reference.
All right, y'all. So those were the top 3 storylines of the week. And just a quick reminder, while you guys are watching us live, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and click the subscribe button. Also, make sure you follow us on all of your favorite podcast stations, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. And also make sure you follow us on social media, which are all right there if you aren't already. And also, I forgot to say that, buy our merch. I mean, somebody needs to buy it. I mean, it's some good merch. Although I was wearing the Possessed shirt, was that last week or the week before? And then I had to go grocery shopping. And I thought to myself, how is this going to look? No one said anything, so that's good. And I wasn't doused with holy water.
It's also Halloween season, so
maybe
it works.
Yeah, it fits. Yeah.
It's
an easy Halloween costume.
True.
There you go.
Possessed.
Ooh, maybe I should. Okay, you're giving me ideas. All right, so let's get through our tidbits because shortly we will be joined by Roark Critchlow, who plays Mike Horton, so that we can get the lowdown of the showdown. I just thought of that. So let's. Now here's the tidbit I want to talk about: Alex, Sonny, Will, Allie, and Chanel. Okay, let's start this. Raise your hand if you think Allie and Chanel should go through with the threesome with Alex.
Should.
Yeah.
Even
I hate
though
everything about this.
even though they had a somewhat mature conversation about it beforehand, even though like it wasn't just, it just doesn't. It's gonna get messy.
I don't think so.
I want them to, but I don't think they
I mean,
should.
not the threesome itself. Well,
What did you say, Araceli?
I hate everything about this. From
Why?
all angles, I hate everything about this.
Why?
And before anybody comes at me of like, okay, so it's because she's like the good little Catholic girl. No, what people do in the privacy of their own homes is their business. It's fine. Which would be my comment to Allie when she asked Will if he'd ever had a threesome. I'm like, that's his marriage. Mind your business.
Well, first of all, the fact that first of all, they are brother and sister, and if you can't be open and honest with your brother and sister about some things, then who can you be honest with?
I wouldn't be open with my
you
sister.
shouldn't be honest about all that.
No.
But the fact that he didn't even answer it, just let me know.
Do I want to know the answer? Yes. But is it her business to get in there? That's not your business. I don't care how close you are as brother and sister. What stays in a marriage is between that marriage.
No.
If they choose to divulge that, that's different. But ask, like, that's not yours to ask.
But Will has kind of helped her and guided her, especially with how to identify herself, right? So of course with this, she's gonna go to her brother to ask because they're both a part of the LGBTQIA community.
And asking if she should and asking stuff in relation to herself.
I mean, Dolores, I wouldn't talk to my sister about any of this stuff either, but that's just our relationship.
Exactly. It's like, different relationships. I'm glad that Allie has a very open, honest relationship with Will, that she feels like she can talk to him about this stuff. But there is a difference between choosing to confide in your sibling about personal things and asking them personal things about their relationship that they have chosen not to talk about.
Well, the fact that Will said he would not talk about this without Sonny lets me know that Dalen had one or two.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I want.
I will ask y'all.
Wait,
who thinks Will and Sonny have had a threesome?
Oh, I could see that. Yeah.
So that's why. I mean, listen, Allie wasn't stupid. That's why she was asking Will. Like,
but no, maybe,
bro,
maybe
how do y'all keep it?
Annoyed at Allie. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, but just Allie. Okay, Allie is just getting on my freaking last nerve.
Allie thinks that this is going to fix something.
Yes.
And it's not going to.
That is not why you enter a threesome.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
going to make more problems.
It's not why you don't make any decision on your sexual relationship, whether you're having a threesome, an orgy, whatever. You don't make any kind of decision like that because you think it's going to fix something about you or your relationship. I don't care how many partners you have at one time, whatever you want to do. Again, what people choose to do in the privacy of their bedroom is their business. But you don't do anything like that out of fear, out of insecurity. No. Ugh.
Bad news bears.
Yes. So, or all those people who are saying, oh my God, this is going to ruin days. I'm like, no. The message that you should be concerned about, that you should be focusing on is not that, oh my God, a threesome is going to ruin the sanctity of our favorite soap opera, blah, blah, blah. No, that's not what I'm worried about. What I'm worried about is the message that this sends, that it's like, that an insecure girl thinks that, and this is from the beginning of time, that an insecure girl thinks that some kind of sexual experimentation is going to fix something. That is a trope we need to get rid of.
Because it ain't gonna.
Okay.
We need to just kind of wash that.
While there's a sense of insecurity with Allie, I think there is an intrigue and willingness to explore as well. because I think in the beginning Chanel was intrigued by the offer and was kind of like, hmm. And then when Allie wasn't down, it was just kind of like, oh, okay. But now that Allie's down, it's kind of like, well, I mean, as long as there's something, a foundation established
Mhm.
within their relationship, then why not?
Because Chanel is completely secure in her sexuality, and Allie clearly is still not.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna even go out on a limb and say I don't think this would be good for Alex right now because I think it could potentially ruin a really good friendship that he has going with these two young women who could potentially be really good sounding boards for him.
Hmm.
I do
So
like
I'm
that.
like, I hate this on all fronts.
Well, listen, I felt like they had a very adult like discussion about it, and they landed on they were going to go through with it, as far as we know. Don't knock it till you try it. We'll move on. Ava, Gabby, Stefan, EJ, and Johnny.
Whoops.
Why is EJ
Seventh.
after the company that like okay, help me understand. Is EJ trying to make sure that everyone gets their share so that he's voted in as
Yeah.
CEO? Because I hope
Yeah,
so.
he's trying to have complete control.
Listen, the way that they are um, that they are the way that EJ is working this, I'm like, you are working hard to
Yeah.
get the
Hmm.
CEO spot, and it's even almost as very desperate. And listen, we everyone has done shameful things, including EJ, but that whole Ava, here is a present for you. It's your marriage certificate. Oh,
Hmm.
by the way, had a handwriting analyzer or analysis on it, and that's not Jake's signature, is it? It's like, bitch, go sit down somewhere. Like what? Like what?
I'm
Well,
not sure that handwriting experts hold up in like a court of law though.
I know. I was like, that's all you have, a handwriting expert.
I mean,
but I think that
do you know how many different ways I sign something?
But I
Yeah,
think
which is
that opens the door to like a formal investigation, and that's I think why Ava was so scared because like it's one thing for everyone just to believe it and to have the fake one filed, but when people really start investigating, it's gonna fall apart. And also,
Let
as
me.
much as I love Ava and I love her in this Demira sort of playpen here, the reality is EJ is 100% right. She is lying about it. And also, she's lying about it in her lie is directly affecting him. It's not like she's living in the garage apartment and has control of Jake's bank accounts and is just living off of that. She's coming into his world. She's in his house. She's now making decisions about the company. Like that's an affront on him. So in that sense, as much as I like her, the reality is he is 100% right. And I don't think he would care if whether she was or wasn't married to Jake, if these voting rights weren't an issue.
yeah,
Right.
but let's face it, we'd be more on EJ side if he hadn't tried to pull the same, if he wasn't so hard on Gabby, and she actually did legitimately inherit her shares.
Well, yeah. I mean, the stuff about Gabby is completely ridiculous. But
So it's
regarding
like,
100,
yeah, I
well,
can't be on EJ's side even if he is technically right.
Well, here's the thing. Let me tell you who's not shooketh in any of this. Ava. Did you see how she looked back at him like
Love that girl.
not bothered
She knows how to
at
play it.
all? Not bothered. And then I like that it was first of all not EJ pointing out that
Gabby,
Gabby is a pretty girl with a nice bootay.
yeah.
And more butt talk.
Buttocks. But also, questioning Stefan as far as like, why is he still wearing the ring? And then Stefan has to march over to Demir Enterprise and be like, I'm getting a divorce from you. Here's this ring back. I can't believe I was ever married to you. It's like this is all just setting everything up for like you to one day remember and then realize Chloe don't want you. Whether you remembered her birthday or not. I at the end of the day, I just think that they need to leave the Marriott Enterprises alone. Gabby is doing fine. I
Yeah.
get that you want to keep it in the family, but guess what? All of this going back and forth is going to just be a detriment to the company in itself. So,
Yep.
if anything, what Gabby should do is be like, okay, listen, we all just need to realize how to work together. I'm not doing anything bad with this company. It's not like you're going to do anything worse, but you know,
But she can't play with those boys because they don't know how to share.
well, that's the problem.
It's the thing. We always say no one wants to be like number two. Everyone is
Yeah.
always up for the CEO job.
Well, if you ain't first, you're last.
Well, no, but here's where I will
Hey, Abby
come in
Miller.
and defend Lee again, because Lee is comfortable being her number two.
Oh yeah. Willie, yeah.
And this is kind of like, it's like, again, it's like where I'm conflicted. I'm like, oh God dang, he is actually a really good match for her, because he is on the business side. He is completely 100%.
Well, no, he's
behind
actually not the number two. He's the chairman of the board, so he's not. He's more on an even playing field. with
Yeah,
her.
but he's like he supports her. He doesn't try to go over, at least at least on the professional stuff. He doesn't go over her head. He's not trying to one up her. He just completely 100% supports her.
Yeah.
Right. Well, we'll see how that goes. Because right now, the Marriott Enterprises is a mess. All right. Let's move on to Rafe, Nicole, Eric, and Jada. Is there anyone that is rooting for Rafe and Jada? Not Rafe and Jada. Yeah.
No,
Wait,
No.
Rafe and Jada.
No.
Maybe.
Because there
I
was when he asked her to dinner,
Mhm.
I was like, where are we going with this?
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I kind of
And we felt like they were testing him with Sloane.
Sloan too.
Mhm.
This is
But
the
now
most we've
they've
seen
seen-
Rafe alive and like energetic in his scenes is with Jada and
Mhm.
Sloan. Yeah.
Mhm.
Even when they're just being partners or working together and they have a good chemistry.
Who?
Rafe and Jada.
I don't know. Now, I mean, this foursome is intriguing.
Mm.
What?
That you said that with a straight face.
Who?
You don't.
What?
This foursome is intriguing.
I mean,
Oh,
I was
you
kinda like,
legitimately
okay, that's-
believe that?
I mean, listen. There's so many pieces of the puzzle. There's everyone's rooting for Nicole and Eric to get back together. Then there are people who are rooting for Nicole and Jada, and then now I feel like there's like a hope eyebrow raised to Rafe and Jada.
And then there's people like this person in the chat room that wants to
said-
pair Rafe with a plane ticket out of town.
I can't.
I wonder how many more awkward moments we're gonna see with
Like,
with them running into
This week-
Nicole
Yeah,
and Eric.
it's getting boring.
Yeah,
For me, it's
which
not.
is why I
For me,
laughed
it's not
out
that.
loud.
For me, it's like mildly intriguing, but I'm just like they need to. Something else needs to be thrown into this. Another bomb or something needs to be thrown into this to make it more intriguing.
You just wait, because we saw that little moment in the fall preview where Jada was like, and we don't know what that's going to be. So something's coming.
She was like,
we don't know what that fallout was, but
She was like, what?
huh?
What was she like?
Yeah.
She was like,
Yes.
I couldn't do it because I'm sitting down. If I was standing up, it would be
Now
better.
I want to know what Tony's actual on-camera faint looks like.
Oh, honey, it is dramatic because I'm going to milk that. Let me tell you, if I ever get a fainting scene or a death scene, trust and believe, I'm going to milk it for all it's worth. Like, it's going to be 5 minutes of me fainting or dying.
The chat room seems to think they know why the faint happened, which is why.
Look, I'm Team Jada. I could care less about any of these yahoos who 2 years later can't seem to get their shit together.
Why are you yelling?
Team Jada all the way. I have a lot of pent-up aggression right
You
now.
do.
Yeah, we've noticed.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm on board with it. I'm for it.
Yeah.
Well,
Team Jada.
Lean into that.
let's move on to our last tidbit. which is Mike, Nancy, Craig, and Leo.
We kind of already went through
We
a lot of that,
did.
didn't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we go through most of that?
I think we're gonna go through it with Roark. It was intriguing.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, listen, when I started watching Days in the 90s, you know, that whole like Mike and the Wesleys and Carrie and Austin, like
Nurse
that
Allie.
was,
Nurse
Mhm.
Allie.
yeah,
He was
that was all my jam right there.
Yeah.
So to see the return of Mike Horton, I was all for it. Now, what I wasn't for was just the 24-hour time span that he was going to be there.
Mhm.
I wanna see more. I want him to come back and really navigate through Salem more
Mhm.
because there's a lot to catch up on.
I think we just really, really miss the Hortons. Like we have to get a new infusion. We talk a lot about all these people that we think that should come back, but I feel like the Hortons in particular really need like an infusion into the town again.
Mm.
We keep losing people.
I know.
Yeah, they stopped getting rid of the ones that we do have.
Yeah.
Well,
Lucas.
Yeah. Like we don't like I think we have, if I'm not mistaken, one person in town with the last name Horton right now. And that's Allie.
Oh, see, someone said he needs to be chief of staff. Well, if hopefully
Well,
Caleb doesn't bite the dust.
Yeah.
Caleb.
Lord.
Damn, Tony, that's dark.
Well, we saw it in the preview. She was like looking up, and then she was in heaven
Yeah,
for a
but
bit.
you're already planning for after her funeral.
I'm not. They are. They were the one that put it in the preview. I hope they sprinkle the orchid into some tea and pass it around to everybody to drink. But what we saw in the preview was Kayla looking up and calling to somebody. And listen, y'all know, especially from the South, when you start calling people who are no longer with us, you about to get a call on the main line.
I think Caleb was 5.
So, but anyway, okay. So that has been your week of days, and then we're going to quickly get through our segments because we have our very, very special guest waiting to come on and chat with everyone. Roark Critchlow is. I see him down there. He is like, welcome to the stunt shows and shenanigans. You
He's
just
having
wait.
that moment. He's having that moment that everybody has when they come in. They're
I
like,
know.
"Oh God, what have I got myself into?"
It's like these 4 people are quite intriguing. I'm not sure what
It's
I've
like,
got
why they
myself
give up a
into.
Saturday, Sunday afternoon?
Right. Happy Sunday. Welcome to Dishin Days. All right, so we're gonna go. We're gonna start with our segments, and we're gonna start with mine, which is Tony's official 3 Snaps Award.
Crap, my mouse stopped working.
snap.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So listen.
Michael.
It sounds like people are on the fence about this, but I'm going to give my 3 snaps to Allie, Chanel, and Alex. And this is why. Oh, so you're not going to put my picture up, Michael? Thank you.
Ooh.
And here's why. Here's the thing. I actually appreciate the fact that there was even a discussion about
Yeah.
a bisexual woman, a sexually fluid woman, discussing their relationship and the possibility of a threesome. That whole discussion for me on Days was just kind of like, I like it because it's true to their relationship and it's a discussion that should be had between them. And I was just happy at the fact that it was being shown. So I appreciate it. So for that, and for the fact that I'm hoping that they just go ahead and go through it. Don't knock it till you try it. So my 3 snaps go to Allie, Chanel, and Alex. You get Tony's official 3 snaps award. Now everyone's going to be like, you could have picked something else, but I like when
That's
Days
a good one.
takes a risk and like, because Days has always been a very conservative soap, and it's kind of broadening its characters and its discussions and things like that. So I for one appreciated it. So
I appreciated the conversation. Still think it's a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Mhm.
I'm over here, go team, go. And now we
Go
have
Team Minaj.
Caption that.
All right, this week's Caption That photo comes courtesy of Ava and Gabby in the office playing phone keep away. And this week's caption goes to... I lost it. This week's caption goes to Vanessa Avila on Instagram with her caption, "Why did your phone say Taylor Walker?" Because Tamara Braun played Taylor Walker.
Nice.
Okay.
I got
it.
Speaking of Tamara Braun, Tamara Braun?
Tamara.
Tamara Braun.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, Araceli, you're getting covered. Tamara Braun put her hat in the ring, as many folks from Days are doing lately, which we always appreciate, with her caption, "Get a haircut, Ava. Those ends are looking ratty."
I love that she came on to read herself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It's
that has been
Caption that.
and now it's time for
Those were the days.
All right.
Yeah,
This is Those Were the Days. That's the wrong one. It's the Carly. Yeah. This week, Those Were the Days take you back to October 5th, 2009, where Carly fatally stabbed Lawrence as a result of domestic abuse. I remember when this happened, it was sort of like a shock because they sort of started. I remember they started the episode with this scene, and it was like, "Oh, Carly and Lawrence are back," and then it was just it turned very.
like, did you hear about Lawrence?
Yeah. But if you think about Lawrence's character, he was never a good guy ever since the stuff with like the predatory stuff with Carrie, the raping of Jennifer, the fact that he tried to kill John when they were kids, like all of that stuff is like it fits into possibly who Lawrence would have become in those intervening years. But that was just a very like shocking moment in the show, I think, when they opened with them sort of fighting and then her just literally taking and stabbing and killing him. But yeah, October 5th, 2009, when Carly fatally stabbed her husband, Lawrence Alamein.
And not for nothing, you were asking a real life wife to kill her real life husband.
Yeah. In fact, that they're a really loving married couple who are very sweet together. And
she had to be really really into it.
And
Those were the days.
I love it. And now it's time for
It's a gift.
And this week's It's a Gift goes to Miss Chanel Dupree and her reaction, which was my reaction at Allie proposing a threesome. I would have spit out that wine, but yeah. Yeah, this is why she's the queen of gifts.
Yeah, that was my reaction too. I was like, okay, let's see where this goes.
Okay.
Happy day.
Right. And that was Michael Mattis hates me during these segments because he's like, I have to press all these buttons because you
different windows for different people. Yeah. Usually better though.
All right. Well, now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to bring in our very special guest. You know him as Mike Horton, who returned to Salem to take dear old Jennifer off to rehab. And now we're going to dig even deeper to find out more. Please help us give a Dishin Days welcome to Roark Critchlow. Hi.
Hey, Roark.
Hi. Hi.
First of all, welcome to our very fun, silly, entertaining, intriguing show.
Personally, I'm offended. Missionary, great missionary all the time. I like buttocks. There's certain, just off camera even. Yeah, but and who am I going? I'm going to go with Chanel. Yeah,
you're going to go with Chanel. I love that. I love that Roark fell
as a partner in a missionary situation is what I'm saying. Mike
Horton and Chanel Dupree. I think Chanel would go for that, especially since Mike Horton has money.
She likes an older man. Then, does she?
Yeah.
Oh, you're looking good, honey.
Well, Roark, thank you so much for Roark, thank you for joining us. We were first of all, we were very happy to see Mike Horton return in the fall previews, and then we were very excited this week when you finally landed in Salem. I mean, for you, Mike has been gone for about 12 years now, 10, 12, 10 years. What was it like for you to get that phone call that they want you back, and then now suddenly you're back in a role that you left, 10 years ago?
I think it was 20.
20.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's right.
I like that you were all about the Austin Carey Michael jam. That was kind of fun. You mentioned yourself it was the 90s. So
yeah.
Thanks.
I was all for it. I think, in fact, although I was a Carey and Austin fan, there was that moment, because I'm a fan with open arms, that I was like, I'm kind of digging Carey and Mike.
Yeah, I'm just so genuine and earnest and lovelorn. I'm just so pathetically unrequited. It was a winning choice as an actor. It was it came by way of the internet now, right? Whatever. I was there when I got the job. Shoot, man, you have to. I think I had 6 callbacks and 6 other guys that were running for the role at the same time, and a screen test with the director and with oh my God, Lisa Rinna was my screen test partner.
Oh,
I will forever be grateful to Lisa Rinna, and this is the truth. Everybody did the same scene. They said, okay, now you got to do the thing. You got to get on camera. All right, cool. And it's a soap opera, so you're going to be in your shorts and nothing else. I'm like, all right, okay, get it. And you have a fight. She's going to try to leave. Stop her and kiss her. And so everybody does the same scene. And I said, hey, Miss Rinna, I'm going to let you get a step past me, and I'm going to stop you and hold you from behind and then turn you around and kiss you. And she says, oh, okay, sure. So I'm the only guy that did that, And I give her a thing, I turn around and I kiss her, and she walks away. All right, scene. And honest, guys, she gave me a round of applause.
Wow.
I kind of think that might be why I got the job. She's a super nice lady. So the internet, the email, agents from casting directors, whatever, and would you be interested? They were very polite about it, like I was going to say no. So I did, and I jacked the price up. No, I'm kidding.
Demand.
I said, yeah, well, heck yeah, that would be great. Again, this is all. What's the timing? They had to change the timing a lot. I don't know if you know, the scheduling is very strange there now. So they moved me about 3 times. So that happened. But it's real when you get a call. The first call I got was from Richard Bluer.
Costumes
when I was there.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And so he's apparently, we had a good show. I like Richard a lot. He's like, oh yeah, I retired, and they called me back too, But it was like, he did that thing where he's like, hey, Roark, it's Richard. I just want to talk about what you'd be wearing.
Hi.
Just like no time had passed at all.
Yeah.
But, it was good. Obviously it's great to go. It's just great to go. The last time I think I was actually on camera was when Francis Reed died.
Yeah.
So this, first thought is, oh God, who died? It was like, oh my gosh, they're actually sort of putting me in the story. All right, cool, right? And and the way they did it, I thought was relatively. I mean, you've been talking about it here. They're trying to open things up a little bit, obviously.
Yeah.
Trying to become a little more inclusive, and I think it's great.
Yeah, for sure.
What a lot of people that were on days for several years, left for several years, then came back, always, or a lot of times they say you pull onto the lot and you snap right back into the flow or the regimen, the schedule. But for you, what was different? What was the same and what was different this time around? Or what was did you face any challenges this time around? Obviously, with COVID times and you're working with a different sister now who you may or may not have met before. Just tell us a little bit about your return to days and any challenges you faced and like what was comforting or what was comforting and what was challenging, put it that way.
The same sound stages, the same situation. There was construction in the parking lot, so you had to kind of navigate that. There was testing for COVID every day. That was by then it was already part of the system, so that wasn't too terrible. It's a little interesting to try to recognize people when we all got a mask on. You haven't seen somebody in 20 years, but did all right. Ran into some, a couple of old friends. The biggest change was the way they schedule the shooting, because I think they're pulling people in from all over the country now. Like for a while, Missy Reeves was living in Nashville, and Matt Ash was living in Minnesota.
I think so.
And so they got to pull people in and do an awful lot of Matt, and and then he gets to go away, and so they stockpile episodes more than they ever did. So it was surprising when they said, "Yeah, you'll be on in October." I was like, "Oh wow, that's a bit of time there, right?" But they're really, they become a much more, and I'm assuming it's because everybody of the streaming, the offshoots and the streaming and whatever that they have, they've got a much more complicated schedule to work with.
Yeah.
Beyond that, you walk in, there's the sets, there's Salem, hi everybody. I mean, when the people talk about snapping right back in, it ain't hard because it's someplace you actually lived most of your life for 6 or 7 years. And it was, in all honesty, the only time I actually got got nervous. I got nerves.
Wow.
Because you want to do a good job.
Yeah.
You want to do, you want to do right by whatever this heritage is and whatever this, that fan base that is 65 years, and going strong. You just want to do a good job.
Yeah.
But being Mike, he ain't that different from me. A little smoother with the ladies, but not much. But the first scene was with Bill and Susan, so okay, I didn't even know if they knew I was coming, and we never did a heck of a lot of work together, the three of us, but there was it wasn't hard to feel like you've been away for a while and someone says, "Oh my God, it's great to see you," and you get hugs, and it made the acting a little easier because I was actually feeling something. It's like, holy smokes, it's highly dysfunctional, but it is a family, right? So it feels good to see it and be it again.
I imagine that was that kind of like lessened the nerves a little bit, because it's like the last time you went on, it was to pay tribute to the late Frances Reed, and she was obviously gone, but there was a lot more people on canvas. Now it's like, who do you connect to? Who's your staple there? And obviously, Doug and Julie, Bill and Susan, they're there, they're in it all the time.
Yeah. And I was curious as to who I'd run into, because I realized, because I did a little research, and it's like, there's an awful lot, but it's they're working to make it a young person's show, and that's what you have to do. I think that's fantastic too, right? But it also made for a lot of strange faces in the hallways. Richard Bluer was there, went in, laughed, joked. Truly, I ran into Jim Reynolds. I didn't get to see Deidre, who I think was there that day, but you're not working anywhere near each other now, right?
Yeah.
They want to get you in, get you out fast, and that's hip. I mean, that makes sense. One of the camera guys has become a producer.
Wow.
Things like that. So that was kind of cool. But it was there's the actuality of, to answer the question, finally, is there weren't the same people there. Right. And you can't help but associate whatever, you put yourself back in that time. And it's like, dang me, I was lucky to run into Jim. I ran into Kevin. We didn't act together, but I ran into him, and Kevin's just a doll. I mean, he always has been. For whatever we did on camera, he and I have always just had a howl. Like, he's just, he's a funny guy. And one day he says, "Hey, Roark, how do I read this line?" And it's "no blood, no foul." Right? I'm like, Oh, he says, well, I don't watch a lot of sports. I'm like, yeah, I get that, Kev. Sure. And he tried to explain that to somebody. He's like, well, what does it mean? Well, I only hurt you a bit, so it doesn't make me guilty. I don't know. He's great, and Patrika too. And I was actually surprised that was the story that they dropped me back into. But it was a pleasure. I mean, Patrika's just a gas. They're both just a gas. It was great.
I think a lot of people were surprised that the scene wasn't between you and Kevin. But I think it was nice to see Mike and Nancy interact and just kind of like make amends. You know, there was this second of tension of like, I'm only here to help out my sister, and you're probably the last person on earth that I would want to see. But it was almost nice just to kind of rehash that moment in time, to kind of mend it, and then, you know, to make plans to meet up in New York and have lunch together. So it was like
Korean food, yeah.
It was very nicely done. And then one thing that I mentioned earlier was, and I didn't realize that this was part of Mike Horton's history on the show, was just for me, I was surprised at the conversation of Mike questioning his sexuality when he was younger, in order to talk with to coincide with what Nancy was dealing with Craig, and in our chat room, because we have amazing fans who have been watching far longer than I have. They were like, yeah, in the 70s. Michael Reese, who played Mike Horton at the time, there was a whole storyline where they that he wrestled with his sexuality, and I was like, oh, I never knew that.
I didn't know that. And that surprises me. Well, I don't know. Is it that conservative? Has it always been that conservative a show? I mean, they did things like bury people alive and have people eaten and things like that. So, but I guess that's a different type of avant-garde, right? That makes me fairly happy if they were actually, as long as they were doing it in a relatively tasteful way.
It seemed like what they wanted to go in that direction, and then that was the direction that they could go in at the time.
Right.
But yeah, we're talking about the 70s.
Yeah, because I was going to ask for you when you had to mention that, like, had you, like, what were your thoughts about behind that? But now knowing, like, you had no idea that back in the days there was like a whole storyline centered around that.
I think it's tough when you're the seventh. I'm the seventh son. And I didn't. And if they made it. Like, well, you were commenting earlier, Tony, that like it has been a conservative show, and now they're working to not be. And that was the first thing I noticed. Yeah. All the scenes with Craig, with Kevin. What I call him? Craig's character, the character Craig is. I was pretty proud that they are absolutely including, and that's what we're sort of all looking at here in this bizarre century that we're part of it. You know, how do we fix a lot of the problems that have been made, and that were perpetuated a lot by television and by stereotyping and blah blah blah, right? So I was pretty proud of the show. So when I read the script, I was like, all right. It became a part of Mike, and I gave it the truth that I have within myself to give it, you know, and plenty of people, you were talking earlier about those insecure girls, you know, responding to pressure to do something to try to be more attractive, whatever. There's plenty of, so I don't think sexuality is as simple as people have tried to make it in the 20th century. Am I talking a lot? Holy smokes!
No.
That's why we want you.
It's like we're sitting here hanging on every word. I mean, you know, it's not every day that you get a chance to just, like, you know, speak with someone who has, you know, a history, you know, with the show, and, like, you know, and who's able to come back and kind of step back into a role that, you know, he hasn't been in quite some time, and what we're happy about with Days is that they do that, because for the longest time, when certain storylines happen, like for example, when Laura was killed off of the show, it's like, we would want those moments where we would bring in people that we haven't seen, for some time, just for those moments, or a phone call, just so we were reminded, like, these characters still exist,
Well, it's unlike any other form of entertainment in that sense. And there's a again, to get all socio-political or whatever it is, the family may not be extinct, but the family, the true family, that extended family that used to be part of society, or smaller towns, whatever, and everybody's sort of within reach. Not so much anymore. Everybody's working, everybody's striving, everybody's trying to make this technology make their lives easier. It seems to also fill up your life with more stuff. And so families are sort of becoming less pervasive for people, I think. And so I think, people like to feel a sense of permanence, and a sense of a base that they can rely on. So I didn't know. I'm glad that you said that, because I'm always curious when they invite people back. It's like, they're doing that. Why is there still a value to this person? Does the audience still want to know? Because there's a lot of crazy.
Well, I mean, I think that we theorize that one of the reasons it happened was because of the pandemic, because all of a sudden everybody was scattered to the winds. You mentioned like Matt and Missy; they no longer live in the States. So it was kind of like, well, how do we make this work for the people, that we honor the history of the show, that we honor if people want to go do other projects? Because the other thing is that it took a while to get production back up and running. On everything. So, if some people wanted to pursue other opportunities in the meantime, that maybe could be more remote, could be more shut down, they were able to do that. Missy obviously made the decision based on her family. And, so that's why, you got to work with the lovely Katie.
Right.
And I know that you don't live here either. But I think that, to answer your question, that was the reason. And then obviously with Peacock, we're hearing the rumblings also that more money. So this leads into my next question. If they asked you back on a semi-permanent basis, what are your thoughts?
It's not I tend to think I'm funny. Maybe I'll try not to joke about this.
You be yourself, because clearly we have been ourselves. This
You're good company.
You're doing a great.
You're in good company.
Just do the swoon again. Come on, just go hit the swoon again.
The feed.
Everybody. My family lives in LA. Like, I'm from Canada. From Canada, eh? And, my kids are American.
So you do live here.
Sorry?
So you do live here right now?
No, my kids, they're not kids anymore. My children, my spawn, my offspring, are all fully grown humans. They two of them were born in the States, so they are American citizens. And my first daughter was born in Canada, and then she's got a green card like me. So they grew up in LA, and that's where they live. That's so any reason to go. Number one, any reason to go see my kids, spend more time with my kids, because with COVID, it's like jonesing a little bit. It was a really great call in that sense, right? Oh, by the way, the day they offered me the job on Days of Our Lives was the same day my second daughter was born.
Oh, wow.
Before cell phones, though. So someone said, "You've got to call," and I found a telephone in the hospital as a waiting with my laboring wife. Hey, you got the Days of Our Lives. That's great, thanks.
Got a wife to attend to. Got a baby coming.
No, so that was fantastic. It was the first time I'd seen them since the pandemic started. It was great. So that is a large factor. But beyond that, I like the way the show's changed. It used to take a long time for anybody to get out the door of the house, like 3 or 4 episodes before somebody even started to where they were going to have a piece of action happen. And I was involved in three different storylines immediately, and then they created a piece of tension that I could have with Patrika as well, with Nancy, and and then it got resolved like within that episode. So, and the way you've been talking about it, because I don't watch, once you've sort of been in there, it's kind of funny to it's too much to enjoy a show.
Yeah. Trust me, we know.
Really enjoy it. But you're just laughing at people because you know what they're really like. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so there was some nice acting going on for me because they gave some good scenes to work with and some good not storylines, they were actually stories. So whereas it used to be more of a glamour job than an acting job, I think it's become as much of acting as, or at least more, and more so. So I'd be happy to go back to Salem and and get involved with the people again, and get involved with the new people. Because I read that don't know if there was a thing on the notes that they sent me that you might say, well, what was Mike doing like for 20 years? And, I did want to. I thought I should bring it up just in case we didn't get to that because it's fairly important. He initially left to start a clinic in Israel because there was some strife in that area. But he actually wound up moving to Denmark and starting a fertility clinic so that he could repopulate Salem with little Hortons. He's a very fertile man now. The clinic was all self-derived.
At this point, I would
use it or lose it, right? That's what.
Well, you know what? At this point, I would buy it because I don't know if you heard me earlier. There is kind of now one.
That's what I was.
Named Horton.
Yeah,
Mike Horton to the rescue.
Yeah, that's right. Horton needs a who? No, Horton. No.
Horton here's a who.
Horton is a who. Yeah, who is the Horton anymore?
Roark, I'm curious. What was it like to work with Matt and Katie specifically, just because they weren't your Jack and Jennifer?
Thank you. You're a quiet person, but you cut to the chase.
It's always the quiet ones,
right? Matt and I hadn't. We actually missed each other. So
it was Mark Valley,
the interesting thing is meeting another person with virtually the same pedigree as you have. We both have done that. That was actually my first job in Los Angeles. That was my first acting job in LA. Was Days.
Days was?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
I'd had 11 auditions in 12 months. It was not going great. The dream was dying. But so it was, and so what does that lead to? I will proudly say that I've been a working actor and I got 108 IMDb credits now. And, there's been a ton of great stuff. Obviously it was a fantastic event, some fantastic thing to happen to me. He had the same game. So we wound up chatting an awful lot, kids out of LA, all, that whole thing. So for never having actually met the guy, we got on fantastically. And the Katie was interesting because, I know it's not going to be Missy, which was, that was something I was a little concerned about. Not really. If you get the job in LA, you're a good actor. That's just, LA. Yeah. We had a fairly emotional bit. They were having their character, they were having a very emotional scene. I was not an interloper, but I was sort of, I managed to connect with each of them on as true, sort of honest and emotional level as I could, given what we were going through. And what I think is nice is that good actors go, oh, okay, cool. Right. We're going to have a good time today. I'm not going to have to struggle with this guy, or, he's I'm not going to have to convince him that I'm his sister or anything like that. Right. Like you come in, there's that person you meet, you talk, and you sort of give yourself to them as you act. That's my sister. Right. And, they were open and it was great fun. We had Katie and I had some pretty decent chats afterwards as well, which is nice, because you want to do that in case we run into each other again. And can you build on that? Yeah. So it was, it was fraught with new things, but nothing bad. All really pleasant time.
Yeah.
Do you attribute what the rest of your accolades and projects that you had after Days to Days, like as the start and the catalyst to what was to come for you afterwards? Because like with that, being in LA and having 11 auditions and finally landing something, as being in the industry, you kind of know, like after some time, you're like, okay, was this the best decision or not to to do this? But having finally landed, the role of Mike Horton, do you attribute like that time and what you learned, and everything that you gained from that experience to everything that you experienced afterwards in the industry?
Yeah. You're supposed to do. I think it's an inflated number. You're supposed to do something for 10,000 hours, and you can call yourself an expert at it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I didn't even know this, but I did 631 episodes. That's a day on camera.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a day. That's a lot of hours in front of the camera. By the time you leave that place, you are not nervous in front of the camera anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And there was I was working with Christy Clark, Carrie, and there was a tendency at that time to understand the medium enough as an actor, and this was actually said to me when I first got there. One of the guys says, "You're going to try to make this better than it is, but after a little while, you just settle in because this, it's a different thing. It's not a movie. You got to write the thing every day. Everyone's working on a timetable. Everyone's okay." And I said, "Nah, it's not going to happen with me because try to work hard," and it happened. There was a day when I went, "Oh shit, they're right." Can I say that?
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Oh, yeah.
You're okay.
We say Star Wars. Yeah.
There. Have you got the guy? I felt it. I was like, what's the point in trying to act better when the dialogue is sort of as functional as it is, or whatever? And it's changed, like I say. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. So I never stopped trying to find better ways to do the thing. And so I did actually become a better actor. And Christy Clark was the same person. She'd been on the show since she was 13.
Yeah.
And she always thought, well, no, I got to give my best on this. And so I think that's one of the reasons people kind of responded to us. The other thing, though, at that time, people looked at soap opera actors as being shallow and self-centered. And hey, they weren't wrong. Or whatever. Their professionalism wasn't taken into account. So it was tough sometimes to break into that next level.
Mm-hmm.
But half the casting directors in town either watched your show or never watched a soap in their life. So half the doors were open and half the doors were closed.
Mm-hmm.
You knew who was a soapy if they asked you in for an audition for something else. But to really answer the question, the first job I got on VIP, Pam Anderson, played a bad guy.
About that show.
The director was a Days fan.
Oh.
And she saw me walk in, and it was like 6 months after I'd quit, I think. And she did that thing, and I'm like, oh, crap. Why am I even going to read? Clearly, she has nothing. No, it was fan. Oh, geez, that's Mike Horton. Because you're really in Israel with Carrie. Oh, she wound up hiring me 4 more times. Like we became friends, and so it was absolutely. It was. I think without those kind of little breaks, because of Days, it would have been a way harder way to get in. So she allowed me to add, the prime time to my daytime resume.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was flat out.
Yeah.
Is that those kinds of connections? I'm going to bring up your time on Pretty Little Liars.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed, because I was a fan. I forgot what we called ourselves, but we were, dedicated fans of Pretty Little Liars. I noticed, especially with like the parental figures on the show, a lot of daytime people, including yourself, were cast as like the parents of these teenagers or teachers or whatnot. And so that was going to be my question was, first part of the Pretty Little Liars question. Did being in have that history with Days and daytime, attribute to being cast? And the second part is you worked with technically Mike Horton's niece, Ashley Benson, and if you guys ever like were like days, yeah, like swapping stories.
Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go backwards. Okay, here I am. I'm your dad. You're on the hottest TV show on TV, and you're one of the 4 prettiest little liars in the world, and it's just taken off.
Mhm.
What use do you have for me? I mean, like, you're 19 or whatever the heck she was, and I'm not, and I don't even have, like, YouTube on my phone. I don't know, whatever it was. So it was awkward, and it's the first time it was one of the only times I've ever been awkward around another actor when you first meet them, because we had nothing in common, right? Like, this was an entirely new generation raised on entirely new technology with entirely new whatever. And something Ashley, yeah, because I played Ashley on the thing. And I'm, oh, geez, that was Mike Horton. I was like, there.
There's the connection.
It was perfect. It was perfect.
Yep.
So yeah, a couple times Days has come through. And I think probably, like, you can't call from Dynasty to Dallas to Pretty. It's all soap operas, right?
Yeah.
It's all families. Like, describe a soap opera and describe, a drama on TV at night. So I think the casting people probably went, oh, okay, yeah, good enough. He survived the transition to prime time. He's got enough stuff, and we know he can work every day. Like, when soapies roll in, they get the job done. Right? It's nothing to one take a shot because you had to.
Yeah.
Nice.
And for that reason, like, I know you commented earlier, Roark, on, it's kind of a young person's show right now. I would disagree with you a little bit on that, because the fans really, really responded to you coming back, even for a day. And as I said before, we desperately needed an infusion of Horton blood in town. So yeah, I would disagree with you a little bit on that.
I'm all about infusion. I'm totally Asian meets Mexican. I'm all about the infusion. There's a restaurant in Toronto.
Well, Roark, we don't want to take up all the questions. We know that fans have some burning questions for you as well. So we're going to take a few from our chat room for you to answer. So let's start with this one.
I'll start with. Oh, go.
No.
Sorry, crossing wires here.
No, that's the one. I was waiting for you to pick one.
Is that the one? Okay. John Del Rey wants to know if you've ever done any comedy work in addition to the soaps and the dramas. I think VIP was kind of comedy-ish, if I remember it correctly, but
it wasn't to be taken totally seriously. That's for sure. No, that may be the one place where the soap shadow or light, not a big bowl of hilarity, your average soap opera. Thank you, John, by the way. I think he's clearly high if he thinks that I'm that funny, which is good. Like you say, got to try it. Don't go out tonight yet. No, I'll do a little thing here. I didn't know. It's just an opportunity. I'm actually, I have not ever been cast in a straight in a comedy. There was a couple of Hallmark and Lifetime movies. I worked with Carly. Lost her name. Anyway, her first name was. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm doing this. Anyway, it was a fun Cupid Incorporated. It was a fun show, and I got to have fun reactions and fun, add some humor to the character. But mostly that's where I get to do it. They don't see me as being a comic actor. I have. This is exciting. I actually have two. I started writing a while back and really poorly. And then I realized that when you can't read your own thing, it's like, so anyway, I got better. And I have two scripts. One is a comedy and one is a dark comedy horror movie that a producer read and said, ooh, I wrote it for Hallmark, the one comedy. And they said, no, that's a rom-com, dude. I want to put this on my slate. Mm-hmm. So okay, they say, you got anything else? I say, I got this horror movie that's kind of funny but pretty horrible. And they read that is so disturbing. I love the way your brain works. So they've got that one that they're actively approaching people to fund with in their slates of movies, right? So I get my comedy out. Long time coming on this answer. I get my comedy out in the writing. I've become a fairly good writer and a pretty funny writer, and I'm moving towards getting scripts turned into movies right now, which is, what the heck, eh? Third stage of a career in Hollywood. It's great.
Yeah,
Especially now, like, we can produce and do our own thing, now with so much technology that's at our hands. Growing up, I didn't have YouTube, and now people are making web series and having podcasts is what we're doing. Like, now you don't have to wait for Hollywood to call. You can just create and put it out there yourself, which is really good.
You can create for sure, and you can create stuff on the web. The interesting thing about the way movies have evolved into the platforms, the Netflix and Hulu and Crave and all that stuff, they actually need material.
Yeah.
The only real problem you have is, well, okay, I got some problems, but the problem there is, you still have to make the connections. LA is still Hollywood, Northwood land. North America woodland is still based on connections, genuine connections to people who actually have worked their way into the actual. You got to know somebody at Netflix. You got to know somebody at Fox. You have to find people that want to help you, because you can make all you want, but if you're not getting it broadcast on one of those major things, it's not being seen. So you're right about up until the feature film level. I think people should just be doing what you guys do. It's fantastic. This was going on.
And Tony just gave me an idea to put in a call to Crystal Chappelle.
To Crystal Chappelle?
Yes, Roark Critchlow on the Bay.
He's a no.
I missed what's going on here.
The Bay is a web series that has a lot of daytime backing. Oh. So like you maybe fit. I think what Araceli's saying is that you may just fit right into that series, and it's more of a. It's on. It started more like, what am I trying to say? Independent.
On the low,
but now it's gotten picked up.
It just got picked up.
Yeah.
And what I'm just now. I was doing great up until now. And what is the series? I'm sorry.
The Bay.
The Bay.
My dog is making a noise.
Sorry.
Stop that. One more time, please.
The Bay.
The Bay.
Oh, okay. The Bay.
Yeah. And Mary Beth Evans is a producer on it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just read about it. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm doing well in terms of I'm in the Lifetime Hallmark loop, which is nice. And so there is there's a place for me.
Yeah.
I certainly.
Now I want you to do a musical on Lifetime. You're just giving me like ideas.
I'm multi-talented. I really am. I've been writing music. I've been co-writing with a young artist and on break at 18 years old, and she has 3 songs on Spotify, and I wrote the lyrics for him.
Wow. See, the more you know.
I don't think you want me actually taking the vocals. No, but in terms of the day, to really answer the question, of course, it'd be great to go back to Days. It'd be great to be involved in it. The energy there was quite fun. Maybe it's just because there's so many people and so many young people, but working on it. But that would be. I'd love to infuse. If we're going to use that as a euphemism, I'd love to wander Days and infuse Hortonism into them. If it might be interesting that people are starting to realize that some of the older soap people actually still have value, like as a Q, TV Q, or whatever you want to call it, internet Q, and like we're just you get to be pretty good at the job if you get if you work on a soap. It's a daily activity, and if you want to, you can become. I think I became a better actor because of it, and I never lost my work ethic because of it.
I mean, there are days with what Days is always great about is history, and utilizing, the history of the show. And, like I mentioned before, it's always good to revisit people who were once a part of the show and have them pop in, whether, it's for a while, for a second, to be a part of, a storyline. So I feel like whenever you're a part of Days, you're never too far from the show, if that makes sense. Like there's always a moment where they can throw you back in, like we saw this week with you, and who knows
Right.
what door could open to where it's like, oh, it would make sense to now bring him back for this. It's like the opportunity is always there with soaps, especially when they've been running as long as 57 years as Days has. So they have a lot to play with.
Yeah, and they are working hard to expand the brand and all that, which is really cool. I'm thinking Mike and Nancy. I mean, clearly,
I love
right?
Beyond Salem, New York
Interesting.
with Mike and Nancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I think everyone is rooting for, like, when the whole lunch thing happened, everyone was like, Mike and
Yeah.
Nancy, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Let's
And then I can wind up being gay as well.
yeah.
Oh, poor Nancy.
That's an answer.
That would kill Nancy. That would
I never forgave her. I never forgave her.
Just like, gotcha. That's how I got you back for all those
Oh my
years.
God.
That's what you get.
Like
Playing the
Craig
long
comes
con
in.
on Nancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Wind up with Craig, right?
Can you imagine?
Wow. That
Full
who
circle.
knows? You put that out in the ether. Who knows? That could
That's
be Mike Horton's evil plan to get Nancy
Yeah.
back.
Steeler man.
Right. Let's
Ron's
let's-
writing it right now.
let's take just a couple more questions, and then we'll go from there, because I know a lot of fans. First of all, Roark, all the fans are definitely enjoying you. We've
Yes.
had people say that, oh my God, he's hilarious. We would love to see him back full time. So they're enjoying every second of this.
I'm so lucky to have been involved with a fan base that is as devoted and loyal as Days from the start. But get to the question. I'm not going to go on. I'm going to. But yes, thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Of course. Michael Mattis, do we have another question from someone?
Sure. Going back a little ways, a couple people were mentioning they recently saw you on a Friends rerun, because Friends is run like all day, every day.
Yeah.
So Eddie Mason wants to know what it was like working on Friends, because I think it was you and Christian and Kevin got to do a little Days related thing on the show on Friends.
Joey got the job on Days. He was Dr. Drake Ramore.
Yeah.
And NBC was mashing a lot of shows together at that point, like the primetime shows too. They'd have characters go from one to the other. They were being quite innovative.
Yeah.
But they brought they brought Joey Matt onto the set with his entourage, like with his people, Beauty Brigade, and he was. I think he was actually kind of nervous, right? Because it's not okay. Here's something new, and he's obviously part of a new thing, and it's exciting. He was super duper nice, like and respectful. Obviously what's going on is his heritage, but they stuck me in there to legitimize the whole thing. So we got to work. I think we did 3 episodes together, and it became. I mean, the one where Drake Ramore dies, the one where Joey dies. I mean, I'm still catching residuals from that, I'll tell you.
Nice.
But we got to go watch a taping of Friends. Like they just sort of said, hey, if you're coming by. And come on by, watch a show. My wife and I wound up going and watching the longest. It was 9.5 hours. They had to order out pizza for the audience.
Oh my God.
Because it was a party in both apartments. The girls and the guys were both party that night. That was the one they got, and they had like 4 cameras on carts on wheels, and they try to shoot the thing chronologically correctly, make the acting better, which it was. And so, the party's happening over here, and they have 3 cameras over here. Okay, and cut. And these guys run these cameras over, so they run them over there, but except with expensive film in it, and they're okay to do this. Those actors, you get to see all the takes, right? and it's a real live audience, and they can say, hey, laugh when you're supposed to.
Yeah.
But these guys were the entire cast was so good. They could turn. Okay, we got to do that again, guys. Sorry. And they could turn a punchline in a little different direction and get another genuine laugh on the second take. And Ross, what the heck's his name? Ross could do it 3 times in a row. He could turn a punchline, and make you have a genuine laugh every time they had to retake one of his scenes. It was like he schooled me. He was good. But yeah, no, that was Friends was great, and it got me my SAG card too.
Nice.
Oh wow. That's good.
One more not audience question, chat room question. We'll call them audience. They're watching. What do you prefer, more dramatic long monologues or like quirky one-liners?
I'm not wearing any pants.
There it is.
It's true. Semi-formal is what I call this look. Here, hang on. Oh, no.
That means you are dressed Zoom appropriately.
Yes.
That's what I assume, right? I'm just like watching you guys. Yeah, okay. This is fun time. Yeah, I don't think there's they both are. You can work along. A dramatic monologue is a great way to act. It's great fun to do that as an actor. You get to, acting is sort of invoking the emotions that you, without having the actual trauma, and it makes you feel good. Try it; it's great. But it's very different from a quirky one-liner. So I'm going to say apples and oranges on that one. I like most of acting, and apple orange. Yeah, okay. This, right? Did you like this apple or this
orange?
Roy, I have to say, it's so funny to see your humor and personality. I don't know if you're familiar with Trevor Donovan, the actor. He played, he's on Dancing with the Stars now, but he played Jeremy, your son, on Days for a few years when you went there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's your energy is very similar. Your humor is very similar to his. So I'm in my head. That popped into my head of like bringing both of you back to the show.
I was gonna say, did they kill him off or
no? He's still alive. Yeah.
He's one of the few Salemites that actually, is still alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could go around the last Hortons.
Yeah.
Go on, leave me. You carry on.
Yeah. Just seeing you two together, I think you guys would be a good match. As father and son, ironically. Yeah.
Do a vaudeville routine on Days.
Oh, yeah, check him out. He's
I will. Thank you.
Dwight Slimmons had a question. What was it like doing the Murder She Baked murder mystery with Allison Sweeney?
That was fantastic because, oh my gosh, can I talk like this? It is called Dishin Days, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
When I first got on the show, there were 2 people who I didn't get along with out of the entire cast and crew, which is just a great workplace environment. And I never really worked with them, so it didn't matter. And it wasn't like, but Allie and I got off to a rocky start as people. And we really, truly were never on set together. But we had a couple little set twos for whatever reason they're truly not important. And then as time went on, we found our way to each other, and we just started. Because she was also trying to become a better actor. We all were, or we both were. And so we started talking about it, like, what'd you do with this scene? What'd you do with that? And it was nice because you don't want to be unhappy with, you don't want to be working with, you don't want to not like somebody, right?
Yeah.
That was another call. Hey, you want this job working on the show? I'm like, yeah, sure, great. It's Allie Sweeney's producing. It's like, damn, all right. And she, we both have had kids, and we've been on the long road, and it was great. She was great. And it was really nice because she says, I read the script, and it's like a dashing silver fox of an older guy to fall in love with my mom. Done. Rookie. So,
wow.
Yeah.
I love that. See, I mean, listen, everyone has a trajectory in life. Sometimes you meet people and you kind of collide a bit, and then you finally find common ground. And then it's like, oh. And then, of course, you're like, why did we have this at the beginning? But sometimes it's not meant to be at the beginning. Sometimes it's in the middle or towards the end.
And there's no reason you're not supposed to like everything equally. I mean, life is not people talk about, oh, you're so judgmental, or the term judgmental is generally negative. Well, if I eat a good steak and I judge it to be a good steak, that's that's being judgmental, right? Like judgmental isn't what the problem is. It's more as if you are looking for a reason to not engage with people. But if you just don't hit it off, there's no reason that some actors, I know they're good actors, I just don't particularly access their sensibilities. And I say, oh no, I don't like so and so, and people say, oh, he's great. I say, I'm glad you think he's great. In the movies, he's good. I know that, but I just don't particularly like whatever he's bringing. That doesn't make it bad or right or wrong. So I'm not disagreeing though, Tony. It's like the other person, Austin Peck, same thing. We just didn't hit it off terribly well, and it got almost a little contentious at one point. But I mean, he's like a 6'3", 210-pound statue. Austin. He was a. You ever see him with his shirt off? Yes,
I remember.
Yes, we remember all those moments.
You know you're talking to Roark.
Yeah. And then there's like, okay, Mike, you step out of the hot tub, and Carrie thinks it's going to be Austin, but it's you. And there I am standing there in my shorts, thinking she's got Austin Peck in her. He would beat the heck out of me, is what I'm saying. He was a boxer as well, and a good one. And so the one day, but I've got to work with the guy now because we're working the storyline, and so it was not comfortable, and I didn't feel right about it. And he was nothing anybody did. It was just we both didn't know quite how to handle each other for some reason. And one day I said, "Oh man, you should teach me how to box," and I was like, "There we go."
Yeah.
Right. Now we share something. I was a good student. He was a good teacher. And now it's like, oh, okay, cool. We've got something we can relate to each other on. And so we don't have to wonder if the other guy likes you or not. I don't know, whatever. It's but the nice, so the two people that I've started off not digging a lot, I wound up having good relationships with, and one of them got me a job, on Murder She Baked. So you guys bring up some great stuff.
Listen, when it comes to the fans of Days, they know everything. They can find anything. There have been many a times where we have said, "Oh, we can't find this clip that came on a couple of years ago," and within a day, there's a tweet, there's a DM, something with that. So the fans are amazing, and they're great, and they keep up with everything. If we say the wrong thing here, they go, that wasn't who it is. It's this person, and here's the receipts for that.
Yeah, I got called out already once today.
Oh yes.
No, you can't. Yeah. And you have to have hold 60 years of
57?
57 years of vetting to be done there. Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yes,
you're a resource.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that so fans remember the color of curtains that were in the room. So if you switch the curtains out, they go, "What did that mean?" They switch those curtains weren't the same. That means something.
And they're also rather forgiving because of this show. One day, Mark Valley on a Friday said, "Okay, Jennifer, I'm just going to go up for a shower," and he went off, and he was a very athletic, very very active, physical fellow. So he wound up breaking his arm. And Monday morning, Jack comes out of the shower, comes downstairs with a cast on his arm.
Yeah, right.
Right? Like it was just, oh well.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fans just kind of went, ha ha. Right?
They're always forgiving in that way. But Roark, thank you so much for coming on, because we'll trap you here. We'll keep talking. And it'll be hours later, and we've kept you here. We told stories, we swapped stories. So we'll talk a whole lot. But we're so appreciative of you coming on, and we were very happy to see Mike Horton back this week. But we really, really do hope that they continue to bring you back on and
it would be a pleasure. It would be a pleasure it's a pleasure to be there. It was nice to go, and clearly it would be I would have no problem at all doing that. That'd be nice. And I really had a heck of a lot of fun here. I didn't know quite what like you said before. Sitting back there going, what the hell am I getting?
You're like, what podcast?
Great, yeah.
Yeah, listen,
And
you fit right in. The second
it's a
we
little
added you in,
disturbing,
you
isn't
knew
it?
it. But it's great. That just means like you get us, you feel comfortable,
Yeah.
you feel safe, and it's great. And the fans really enjoyed it too. They really they keep putting in the chat room now that they thank you for sharing, and they really enjoyed you. They think you're hilarious. They think you're funny, and I think this is great because obviously this is not a side or chance to really see and interact with someone. They thought you were going to come on as Mike Horton and be
no,
very that. So it's always good to see someone's personality. So thank you so much for coming in and stopping by, and we hopefully will see you on, and we can have you on again so we can chat about that.
This was way fun. Really, truly.
Nice.
Thanks so much. It was a good fun afternoon for me.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And I'd love to do it again.
Yes, let's do that. Well, now you can go put some pants on.
Thank you so much.
Or not. It's Sunday.
Or take more off.
No, exactly. Now, yes. Thank you. That's my direction.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Roark.
Roark.
Have a great day.
Bye.
See you again.
Bye. Oh, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love when we get a chance to have people on. It was so good. So fun. All right. Well, before we head out, because we haven't done this yet, let's take a look and see what's coming on next week on Peacock's Days of Our Lives.
Your heart, it's pounding.
Who the hell are you?
I'm Wendy Shin. Who the hell are you?
They know something about Chanel.
Some stupid mistake I made in college.
We will be husband and wife in this moment, come what may.
Marlena is dying.
Without that orchid, nothing can be done.
Give me the orchid and I'll give you what you want.
Days of Our Lives, streaming now on Peacock.
Oh, Lordy.
Nice. So we got the fall preview. Nice.
Do we have to add an orchid to our list of
right? Yeah.
stuff?
Flair.
Probably will. Huh?
Our flair.
Yeah.
Our show flair.
Yes. The knickknacks, the show knickknacks.
Yeah.
Who's it?
Orchid is coming next. Well, everyone, that has been your episode of Dishin Days for today. We want to thank Mark Hapka and Roark Critchlow for joining us. But before we head out, Michael Mattis, tell the kind folks where they can find you.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at MLMattis.
And Justin Lee Hareld, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram at Justin Lee Hareld.
And Araceli, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Tia323 Araceli.
And you can find all of us on Dishin Days Show on Facebook, Dishin Days on Instagram, and Dishin Days on Twitter. And you can find little old me at Lounging with Tony on all social media platforms. We want to thank you guys so much for joining us on this wonderful Sunday afternoon. Again, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Roark, for coming on. And we'll see you guys next week for another fabulous recap of Peacock's exclusive.
Okay, Jackie.
What?
Is it okay?
We will find you all next week on Peacock's exclusive Days of Our Lives, or Dishin Days.
Not the hand movement.
Okay, have a good Sunday, y'all. Bye. See you next week.